Coming up, Russia and Ukraine prepare to hold another round of talks. A fire in Central Park is being investigated as arson, and Super Bowl winning quarterback Russell Wilson has been traded. All this and more as PS News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening. I'm NEZAJ.
And I'm Michael DEMARCO. Let's take a look at what's happening around the world.
On the calendar Thursday, a meeting between Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Turkey. But the Ukrainian representative says he's not expecting much from the meeting. In a Facebook post Wednesday, Kuleba said the way the meeting goes will depend on what kind of instructions Lavrov has. For Ukraine's part, he says they're looking for a ceasefire to liberate their territories and to resolve the humanitarian issues this war has caused. Kuleba says he hopes Lavrov will approach these talks in good faith and not from a propaganda perspective. Either way, he says he'll, quote, definitely try to get the maximum out of it.
Some U.S. food and beverage giants are taking a stand against Russia and its invasion of Ukraine. That includes McDonald's and Starbucks, who announced they're shutting down their restaurants and cafes in the country. Coca-Cola is following suit, announcing Tuesday that it's suspending all business in Russia, saying in a statement that, quote, "Our hearts are with the people who are enduring unconscionable effects from these tragic events in Ukraine." At least 516 civilians have been killed in Ukraine since the attack started nearly 3 weeks ago, according to the United Nations Human Rights Office.
The House of Representatives plans to proceed on a bill that clamps down on Russia Wednesday. This bill would in part ban Russian energy imports and challenge Moscow's place in the World Trade Organization. This comes as U.S. officials expect Russian President Vladimir Putin to escalate action in his neighboring country. John Lawrence reports.
Ukrainians remaining defiant in the face of danger, protecting their country from the Russian invasion.
It's our land, independent. Nobody can enter our land. And if someone is entering, we have to answer.
At least 474 civilians have been killed in Ukraine since the attack started nearly 3 weeks ago, according to the United Nations Human Rights Office. And U.S. officials expect the threat from Russian President Vladimir Putin will increase.
He's escalating. He's more prepared than ever to consider doing some unreasonable damage and terrible atrocities in Ukraine. Plus, he's looking for an opportunity to strike out at NATO.
The U.S. is sending 2 Patriot missile batteries to Poland to be used as a, quote, defensive deployment aimed at countering potential threats to the U.S. and its allies.
The pressure has risen a little bit, and that Putin is feeling it. He can't get back at the United States for the increasingly tough sanctions, so he's going to use what he has, which is the threat of weapons of mass destruction.
The UN says more than 2 million people have fled Ukraine since Russia invaded, and they're hoping for an end to the fighting.
We're not Nazi. We're just on our land with hands up. Please, we want to live. We want to be happy. Stop shooting, please.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau spent Tuesday visiting troops in Latvia. Canada leads the NATO battle group in Latvia through a program it calls Operation Reassurance. Trudeau committed to strengthen the military presence there and bring the number of Canadian troops to 660. Latvia is near Ukraine, but Belarus separates the two nations. Trudeau also sent a plane to Poland carrying humanitarian and military aid for Ukraine. The leaders of Spain and Latvia joined the Canadian leader as he toured a military base and met with NATO's Secretary General.
Now coming up, New York is on high alert for cyber attacks. This and more momentarily. Stay with us.
Hello, my name is John Lynch. I'm the president of the school's animation club. While other colleges' animation clubs strive to only show just straight anime, our club tries to be something different, as we show a variety of things such as Western animation, Eastern animation, internet animation, films, and so much more. If you want to meet people who have like-minded taste in animation, then feel free to come on down to our club.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some news happening near you. New York authorities believe an arsonist is behind a number of brush fires in Central Park. Firefighters had to put out 6 to 10 small areas of brush burning in the park on Tuesday. Windy conditions helped the flames spread, but crews were able to extinguish the fires. No injuries and no significant damage were reported, and investigators say they think the fires were intentionally set, but police are investigating the fires.
New York officials are warning against possible cyber attacks amid the ongoing crisis in Ukraine. The city is on ultra-high alert as officials worry that Russia could retaliate against the sanctions imposed by the U.S.
The cyber world, critical infrastructure, water, power, transport, 85% of it is privately run, so it can't just be a government-only security fence.
That means making sure you have strong passwords, different ones for each account, from your bank account to your Instagram.
Aside from strong passwords, officials say people can protect against potential cyber attacks by keeping devices updated. You should also be suspicious of emails and messages from unknown senders.
It's hard to believe it's been 25 years since hip-hop artist Biggie Smalls died. A new mural in his hometown of Brooklyn was unveiled Wednesday on the anniversary of his death. The two-panel work shows Small graduating grade school back when he was known by his given name Christopher Wallace. The second panel shows him in his more recognizable form as the musician known as the Notorious B.I.G. or simply Biggie. Investigators never solved his murder. He was shot to death at a traffic light in Los Angeles on March 9th in 1997, only weeks before his new album titled Life After Death was scheduled to be released. Many people believe it was revenge for the murder of West Coast rapper Tupac Shakur 6 months earlier. That has never been proven, and Shakur's murder has also never been solved.
Coming up, star NFL QB Russell Wilson is leaving Seattle. Stay with us.
Hey, how are you? I'm Jason Lynch, that sports guy. Let's take a look at some sports news. In what could be a blockbuster trade, multiple reports say the Seattle Seahawks are sending superstar QB Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. The 33-year-old Super Bowl winning quarterback has played his entire 10-year career in Seattle. Wilson led the Seahawks to 8 playoff appearances, winning the Super Bowl in 2014 against the Broncos, giving Seattle its only Super Bowl title. In exchange for Wilson, the Broncos will reportedly send quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive lineman Shelby Harris to Seattle. Denver will also hand multiple draft picks over to Seattle. Major League Baseball is helping employees missing out on the work due to spring training cancellations. Tuesday, the organization said that the $1 million fund will support the ballpark employees that work for the Grapefruit and Cactus Leagues in Florida and Arizona. The Players Association and AFL-CIO, a federation of unions, will administer the fund. The money will be distributed to stadium workers and others, including concession crews, electricians, and janitors. The players will work with AFL-CIO to determine the hardest-hitting communities and align resource distribution to those who need it most. Major League Baseball recently announced it was suspending spring training 2 weeks after it failed to reach an agreement with the players' union. The league plans to start an additional fund for seasonal part-time workers affected by missed regular season games. That's all I got for sports news. Back to the desk with Michael and Benny.
Thank you so much, Jason. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight.
To stay up to date with PS News and PSTV programming, be sure to follow at Plattsburgh State TV on all social media platforms.
For the crew here at PSTV, thank you for joining us and have a great night, Plattsburgh.